All right. Hello and welcome to our virtual open house. My name is Amanda Allen and I am an assistant professor here at Cox College and also previous alumni. So really love it here. I'm also one of the faculty clinical preceptors, which we'll explain more about what that is later in the virtual open house. Looks like we do have some people saying where they're from. We have Amara from Missouri State University here in Springfield, and Elena, Shepherd University. Wow, very cool. And then someone from Sacramento. So people from all over. I'm so excited that you could join us today. My hope today is that you're going to get an amazing sneak peek of not only our campus, but really unique experiences you'll have here, our simulation center. We do have a video of what Springfield, Missouri is like. And of course, you'll get to meet our faculty here and of course, some current students too. So it's always great to get that time with them. And we'll do that Q&A with current students at the end. So with our program, I'll say some basic details before we get into a tour of the college and then introductions of faculty. But if you don't already know, we are a 22-month master program in dietetic internship. We have a clinical emphasis. Our master's in nutrition diagnostics. So in brief, nutrition diagnostics is an evidence way of ruling in and ruling out nutritional health related problems. And this process is unique to dietitians. So this is a tool that we really use to elevate your practice as a future dietitian. We give you the proper tools to do this well. Critical thinking is a huge component for what we do here at Cox College. So you have classes to support this discussion, and you'll get some time in rotations to practice critical thinking too. But before, and then of course we work at the Cox Health System. So if you've looked into our program, you might have seen the Cox Hospital System, and that is our direct partner. It's an amazing hospital system. They have been voted best regional hospital, in addition to the top 10% in the United States for hospital systems. So pretty renowned there. They have an over 1,000 bed system. They have a level 1 trauma center, intensive care units. They have over 12,000 employees. It has 6 hospitals, over 80 clinics. So it's really an amazing system to work for. They're very progressive. You'll get a lot of unique experiences. It has a diverse patient population, so you won't be rotating with just one type of patient per se. But before I get too far ahead of myself, I had to just amp up our area there. We'll go ahead and do a little tour of our campus. First, we have a video, and then I'll introduce you to faculty. So if Dr. Brashear, if you don't mind sharing that video of the campus. All right. So as you can see, we have some new renovations. We are that private health-centered college. So we have other health sciences here, like nursing facilities, or programs, OT, radiology. So it's really neat, and you get to meet people from other areas too. But I am very excited to introduce you to the rest of the faculty here. I figured we could all introduce ourselves in addition to saying what our favorite sandwich is for fun. And students tuning in, feel free to put your favorite sandwich in the chat box too. But without further ado, I will let Dr. Brashear introduce himself first.
Thanks, Amanda. Hi, everybody. I'm Kyle Brashear. I'm the program director, program chair for the Nutrition Diagnostics program. I'm new to this role, but I've been with the program since 2012. So been here a while teaching in the master's program, mostly focus on like advanced medical nutrition therapy. And I'm really passionate about nutrition research. My favorite sandwich is probably like a classic Italian sub sandwich, I would say.
Awesome. Any questions for Dr. Brashear before we move on to Professor Kelsey? Okay, let me see. I'm going to put her in spotlight. Okay, Professor Kelsey.
Hi. Yeah, I'm Lindsay Kelsey. I'm an assistant professor in the Nutrition Diagnostics programs, and I've been in the program since 2015. And before that, I was an inpatient dietitian in the Cox Health system. So I'm pretty integrated into the whole Cox system. I teach a class called Contemporary Topics, a counseling class, a couple labs that are associated with supervised practice, and an assessment course. And then I manage all of the supervised practice rotations. So a big part of my job is to do that. And we're doing some really cool things with getting like student preferences with the supervised practice rotations lately. So I think my favorite sandwich, that's really hard to pick, but I'm going to say French dip.
Ooh,
I like the sauce. Yeah.
Good one. That sounds great right now.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you. We'll go on to Professor Mize.
Okay, I think you guys can hear me. And sorry, I have a window that's like shining. So anyways, I feel like I look really blurry or pixely, but anyways, I'm Jordan Mize. I teach a few courses in the program for first year and second year students. So one of the courses I teach is a critical thinking course. And so that's something that I'm really passionate about. And if you are someone that really likes to learn like how you think and how your brain works, and then applying that to you as like a future dietitian, that's a really fun course to kind of explore some of those things and apply some of those topics. But I also teach nutrition diagnostics and assessment, a couple different courses there where we really dig into the diagnostics process. And so we start to explore the we call them the 5 axes of evidence. So part of the nutrition care process. And let's see what else. I've been here at Cox College for, I think this is my 5th year now. And prior to that, I worked as an outpatient dietitian in an endocrinology clinic, working with a lot of diabetes patients, endocrinology type patients. And then I'm also a graduate of the program. So I graduated from Cox College in the first group of the master's program. So very passionate about Cox College. And then my favorite sandwich is also, like Lindsay said, it's really hard. Sandwiches are literally my favorite food. So my favorite one though, or at least one that I've had recently that I really, really liked was, it's called a non-witch. So it's made with naan bread. And it's from a local coffee shop here in Springfield, but it had chicken and like a pesto and it was really, really good. So.
Awesome. Sounds delicious. And then next is Shannon Crosby. And her spotlight.
Hi, I'm Shannon Crosby, and I have been with Cox College just since this summer, so I'm new to the program, but I've been a dietitian for a number of years, and my role here is clinical dietitian preceptor. So I get to work with students one-on-one in a variety of different clinical settings. And my favorite sandwich is an egg salad sandwich. I have a small backyard flock of chickens, so I have a lot of eggs.
Professor Crosby is our chicken lady. She teaches us all about her chickens and it's great. So awesome. You change the spotlight here. And just a little bit more about me. I mentioned my name already and that I am alumni. But I guess my favorite sandwich, that's also a very hard question, but I guess I had grilled cheese at my wedding because I love grilled cheese so much. But if I were to like go to the next level, I don't know if anyone's had a Green Goddess grilled cheese, but it has pesto, avocado, spinach. I guess it might be the most dietitian grilled cheese you've ever heard of, but it's delicious. If you haven't tried it, there's lots of recipes on Pinterest. So, all right. And then without anything else, does anyone have questions for our team so far? I saw Elena mention her favorite sandwich. Can't go wrong with pulled pork. We do have some good barbecue in this area, and we're really close to Kansas City, Missouri, which is known for like the best barbecue ever. So it's nice that we're close to them too. David says BLTs. Ooh, it's so good. Pesto panini. Yeah, it sounds like we all really like pesto. Love it. Okay, well, I want to get into how we best prepare you as a clinical dietitian. And don't get me wrong, even if you're not quite sure if you want to get into clinical, all of these skills that you learn here at Cox College can be applied in a variety of settings. But we do have that clinical emphasis. So there is a lot of training behind this. And really something that sets us apart is this virtual hospital and simulation lab center. So in the top left corner, you'll see one of the pictures from the virtual hospital. So these are two different centers. Virtual hospital, that's where you're going to get, it's like a regular patient room setup. And you get a full week of just practicing in there. It's like a week or 2 weeks before you even really start with the program or rotations. And in this, because a lot of us, as students, you haven't been in the patient care setting or a hospital. So here you get to practice introducing yourself to patients. You get to gather weight and diet histories. We have information on how to best do that. You get to practice some nutrition counseling skills prior. And the biggest part of this and what's most important is that you're becoming more confident, a little bit more comfortable with these skills prior to hitting your clinical rotations, rather than getting to your clinical rotations. You've never been to a hospital setting before or worked in a hospital setting, and it's your first time and you're kind of stunted at what to do. So here we have this amazing virtual hospital and simulation center. And as time goes on, you will gather skills such as hand grip strength, nutrition focused physical exam, which we've been doing training on the physical exam for years and years and years. Dr. Brashear, I'm not sure if you want to add exactly how long. 06, 07?
Yeah, so the program started as an internship in 2006, and that was a big focus of our program, even in the global physical exam and the micronutrient physical exam. So yeah, it's definitely a skill that we're really comfortable teaching here. And what's interesting, I went to a meeting this morning. I just have to jump in and share this. They just got some grant money for the simulation center. And so they're just continuing to add on to the virtual hospital and the simulation center and make it even better. And they were talking that they're purchasing these glasses that students will wear. And then their peers are in a debriefing room and they can see what the student sees. So as they're practicing these skills, the student practices, other people can see like what it is exactly that they're doing. So it's just crazy, the technology that they're investing in for the virtual hospital and the simulation center.
Yeah, it really is incredible, the growth that it's having, and really having, like, the simulation center will have more of the recording capabilities. And I think that's maybe where they're doing, maybe doing more of the glasses, or maybe the glasses are everywhere, eventually anyways. But they'll have that recording capability, and it really helps with advanced learning, be able to reflect and look back at where you're at. While it's hard maybe to do at first, it's really where you learn the most. So that's great. And the simulation center also has medical mannequins that actually breathe, blink. That's actually where we do our tube feeding simulation training. So you will be trained on how to place a tube feeding through a simulation, not on an actual patient, of course, but which really sets us apart. No one else is doing this. In the center, I just can't express how helpful it is as a student, and how cool it is. And I think that showing you this video here will actually give you even further insight into what the simulation center is like. And we just renovated a $1 million renovation or something over there. So it's really cool. So if Dr. Brashear wants to play that video right quick. Good questions too. Welcome to our simulation center. Here we practice a variety of skills. Getting to practice in the center helps you to become more confident when entering clinical rotations. Students are able to practice here and in the virtual hospital throughout the academic year, where you will practice gathering diet and weight histories, patient introductions, tube feeding placement simulation, hand grip strength, and more. Here, Professor Kelsey is demonstrating how to perform the nutrition-focused physical exam. It's key that this is done with precision to best determine nutrient imbalances in your patients. With our emphasis being clinical and nutrition diagnostics, you'll get a lot of practice with this. Professor Mize is demonstrating the proper technique for using hand grip strength. Proper measurement of hand grip strength can ensure protein-calorie malnutrition is accurately identified, in addition as a tool for measurement of functional status. Here, one of our interns is practicing Aid It, which is a tool that we use for patient introductions that helps you become more confident. It shows effective communication and also helps develop rapport. A unique experience is getting education behind tube feeding placement here in the simulation center. You will also get to practice your counseling skills using food models, developing concrete interventions, and be able to estimate caloric intake through recall. Thanks for visiting our center. Awesome. It looks like we did have some really good questions that came in that I wanted to kind of read out loud, especially for those looking back at the recording later. Who aren't able to make it. Those asked, who does the practice in the hospital? Are you practicing with actual patients from the area? Are there actors, or is it mannequins? And a little bit of all of it. So we have the clinical simulator robot or medical mannequins, but really you're practicing with each other for a lot of those cases, taking turns back and forth. So with your peers. And then in the past, I believe we did have community members come in. So in the future, that could be something that happens again.
Yeah, pre-COVID, we had volunteers come in, and it was really good. It was just great because they acted just like real patients. We just told them kind of to be themselves. We would give them a little bit of guidance and a script. And so, yeah, that was really good experience. So hopefully, coming off the back end of COVID, hopefully we'll be able to reintegrate the use of just community members as our patients.
Yeah, that was a great question there. So as you saw from our, simulation center video and a little bit about what we talked about, we really do our best to really help you become the most confident as you can be starting clinical rotations. And that confidence just really helps accelerate your learning too, because if you don't have to worry about the nerves quite as much, you'll probably still have a little nerves, but if you don't have to worry about those quite as much, it really creates a better learning environment, I believe, for the student, which is it's really neat to see the growth that we have from students, even from that first week of practice, is really cool. And then with the other like clinical experiences too, I did want to mention that with the Cox Health System, not only will you be rotating inpatient, but also outpatient, primary care centers. You'll be dealing with gastroenterology, diabetes. I think you're okay back before. I'm just talking a little bit more about the slide that we skipped, I think, on intentionally though, so you're good. So diabetes, renal, you'll get to see patients of all populations, which is really helpful as you're developing your clinical skills or even just dietetic skills wherever you end up. So as a program overview here, you'll see some of the courses that directly are related to your practice. Again, just helps really strengthen your skills. Counseling, critical thinking as it relates specifically to nutrition, nutrition diagnostics and assessments 1 through 4, MNT and chronic disease, contemporary topics in nutrition, which Professor Kelsey teaches this course. And I would love for you to kind of hop on and say what topics, some of the cool topics you guys cover.
Yeah, so it's a super fun course where we just get to like delve into the topics that you're going to see people talking about on the internet, on social media, and what have you. And so some of the things we were talking about are like fructose metabolism. There's a lot of interesting information coming in about that and its relation to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease and diabetes. We talk about advanced lipid testing. And how it relates to, cardiovascular disease risk and also nutrition, of course. We talk about longevity, and as part of that, we talk about the blue zones. The microbiome is a topic, gluten sensitivity, food allergies, food addiction, intermittent fasting, time-restricted eating, and the ketogenic diet are all some of the fun topics that we get to delve into.
Yeah. It's really an amazing class, I must say. And it's a lot in those like controversial topics. A lot of people are talking about the internet, like what does the research say? What are good resources around it? And just really amazing discussion and projects around that. So of course, we have a research course as well. Dr. Brashear is our research king, but we all love research. So it's a huge part of the program. And, with that evidence-based practice, it's important to know what the current research says and how to dive in and dissect it and use those critical thinking skills to really decide on what you're going to apply in practice. So with the supervised practice, you'll have rotations really all over the place, a lot at Cox, in the Cox healthcare system. I'll show you later on like some of the other experiences, but what's really great is we have a dedicated clinical coordinator, which is actually also Professor Kelsey. So she does all of the scheduling for you. You don't have to worry about reaching out to anyone and seeing if they'll have you. So I think that's a big stress that's taken off of students. And she does take your top preferences on where you want to get experience at. So she collects those at the beginning, sometimes like in the middle too, just to see if things change. And we do our best to personalize your rotation schedule to your interest. And with that being said, if anyone wants to put in the comments, like what are some areas you would like to get rotations at, or what are you interested in? Is there be more interested in pediatrics or diabetes, or I see private practice, sports, diabetes? Yeah. we do have some opportunities with all those. So, which is really great. So love to hear that. And we love to hear new, fresh ideas too, and what students are most interested in too. And partnership students. And we'll up next we'll have that. But one thing too that I want to mention with supervised practice that makes us very unique is that myself and Professor Crosby are dedicated clinical faculty. And so what that means is we are staffed to Cox College. So when we're your preceptor, our primary job is to strengthen your skills. We don't have a whole other job that we're trying to do as we're taking students too, which is really great. No other programs do this that I'm aware of. Maybe some do, but it's not common. So in that time, we can really take that time to strengthen your skills, meet with you one-on-one and see where you're at, where your strengths and weaknesses are, and kind of personalize how we're coaching or teaching you along the way. So Shannon's more doing that in the clinical side, and I do that more with wellness right now, at least, because even though we are a clinical emphasis, we do have a very well-rounded rotation system. So there's a lot of community experiences as well. So here we have some pictures and a list of a few of experiences that we have in the community. So we work with the Seafood Nutrition Organization, Bass Pro Corporate Wellness. The Springfield Community Gardens is really cool to work with. It's actually, they've partnered with, or our Cox Hospital Systems actually partnered with them. And they're one of the biggest community gardens in the country. They have, I believe, 16 community gardens, 3 urban farms, a test kitchen. They work with local farmers. You can actually see a community garden from patients' hospital rooms from Cox South, and they're working directly with the hospital systems, doing a lot of really cool projects. So if you're not too familiar with like how to grow healthful food, or different food insecurity systems or things like that, there's awesome experiences there with that rotation, and it's pretty unique to us. We also rotate with Springfield Public School Systems, WIC, Retail Dietetics, and Prime Trucking, Corporate Wellness, and Private Practice Centers. So there is definitely some experience with that as well. And we're always, things are always changing. We're adding some new experiences as well, but you might not get to go to every single one of these, but we just prioritize your top preferences there. Let me see. And then here, another, again, a unique experience here at Cox College is I'm doing a wellness rotation, and in that I do social media messaging training, which is really great no matter where you're working, private practice, outpatient. I was in retail dietetics prior to this. I used to work at Hy-Vee, so I gained a lot of training with social media and media interview training there. So we do the media interview training is more like if you're being interviewed on TV or radio, what are the best methods for that? How are we going to practice that? And we do mock media training. You'll get practice on social media forums, including blogs, social networks. You actually get to write a blog, and it will be on our Cox website and potentially published in our magazine as well. So could potentially have a publication on your resume after the program. And then in the bottom left, you'll see Twyla, a current student, and I are doing a Facebook Live. And with that too, just overall marketing skills too. As times grow in a very crazy different way, we find that research is showing that over 75% of people are going to the internet and social media platforms for their nutrition and health information. So as dietitians, it's so important for us to know how to navigate these platforms, get a little bit more comfortable with them, and what are the ethics behind it. Just a few comments in there. So we have a lot of fun with that. All right. And then next up, I believe we do have, I guess I can pause and see if there's any other questions about that for a moment. Oh, looks like we have some cool interest in here. Okay. we'll still be thinking if you have any other questions. I think up next is our Welcome to Springfield video, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll show you a little bit about what Springfield, Missouri is like. And Dr. Bashir is going to play a video on that.
Thank you. So why Springfield?
I get asked that a lot, and I choose to live here because Springfield is a place that I can enjoy the life I want.
I love the outdoors.
Can be on the lake in just a short drive.
It only takes me 10 minutes to get to work.
Or off to anywhere in the world.
I know my kids will be safe and well educated.
There are really good job opportunities after graduation.
I'm able to work remotely and create on a high level.
The healthcare options in this area are incredible.
The options for housing and cost of living are so affordable.
We have room to create.
I love to experience the excitement of sports.
Can't beat the food.
Or the drinks.
Why Springfield? Because all the pieces you need to create your own story are here. The only thing missing is you.
Right. Yeah, I really love Springfield. I'm not originally from this area, still from Missouri, but it's, a bigger city, but it has a small town feel. There's good food, good arts, tons of things to do. If you like the outdoors, there's amazing trails, rivers. It's really beautiful out here. So and I do see we have another question. Adriana asked, what's our spin on classes? Do you have a concentration or focus? So we are a clinical emphasis, but the master's program and the classes are around clinical and nutrition diagnostics. As far as like what the class schedule looks like, if Professor Kelsey or Dr. Bashir, if you guys want to, I guess, talk about the days with the masters and what that looks like.
Yeah, and then I think first big picture, we're really focused on giving you knowledge and skills. And so we really try to integrate the coursework with what you're doing in clinical practice. And so when we teach things on Monday, we're really teaching them, hoping that on Tuesday you can apply those concepts. And so we try not to, we go through our curriculum frequently to try to think about what's the most needed, things, what does the students need to know for practice? And we go through that. Many classes use the flipped classroom model where it's more about you and less about us. So this is different than a lot of undergraduate programs where you may just show up, not really knowing anything about the topic, and then you kind of just are a consumer of that information. So some of our classes, you may have prep assignments where there's some required readings, you come in prepared and you know a little bit, and then our job as faculty is to facilitate a discussion and maybe use that information and apply it to a patient case, that sort of thing. And so we really try to get the most out of our students and kind of expect group work and participation. Just last night, we're doing a lab and, we're doing the hand grip strength on each other. We're doing counseling sessions with each other. So we're really as application based as possible. And yeah, Adriana, some of our classes do use the flipped classroom model where we'll assign pre-readings and then in class it's devoted to more discussion and application to a specific case.
Jordan. I was just going to add on to that. So like I said, one of our values in the program across all courses is critical thinking. So we really try to integrate those critical thinking concepts throughout all of the courses. So again, we really like to dig deep and ask a lot of why questions and how, and, how does this make sense and how does it apply? What do we do with this information? And then what are some other explanations? So we really like to just, again, explore all perspectives and all aspect of critical thinking. The other thing we do is we use textbooks, but we also rely heavily on current evidence. That's one of the foundations for almost all of our courses is the literature and, current research. And so that's something that, again, we try to help promote that evidence-based practice. As you leave the program, we want you to have the skills to investigate things on your own and really understand, how do I know what's current and what do I do now? It's been 20 years since I was in college or since I learned this. So how do I continue to learn? So again, yeah, we try to integrate those concepts as well into all of our courses.
Yeah. Thanks for jumping in and explaining more on that. Okay. And then just to add on, if we missed mentioning it earlier, I know this is a common question as far as what do we do for the RD exam prep? And we do offer preparation throughout the program and practice with that. And you are provided with that Eat Right Prep course as well. So there is some preparation there, and all of our courses really integrate a lot of that preparation as well for that. So we have a really good pass rate, and I think that's having that. But I would like to take a time for some time for questions for us before I have David and Abby introduce themselves. Do you guys have any more questions about the program? Professor Crosby, if you want to go ahead and link in some of those links as well. Perfect. What types of elective classes do you have? We don't really have elective classes. Does someone want to further explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we use what's called a cohort model. So you will start the program with a group of students, and you will move through each course with that group of students. And so there's a fixed plan of study, which the full plan of study for each semester is on the website. You can certainly check that out. But it is a cohort model. So that's important to know. So you're kind of expected that you're going to start at a certain time and finish at a certain time. And then collaborative work is very common. There's some group work. It kind of just depends on the class that you're in. I know group work some people love it and some people don't love it, and we understand that. But we certainly understand that we can learn more together, and peer evaluation is really important. As Professor Mize was talking about, it's kind of an element of critical thinking, is that you're able to evaluate yourself and evaluate others. And so we try to get students very comfortable with that. You may go in and see a patient together, and then one student may evaluate the other student. And I know that's uncomfortable, but we can see tremendous just growth and learning and sharpening of the skill set that we're trying to get whenever we're able to do that. And spin on dietetics, I don't know. I probably may not answer this in the best way. I think we're forward thinking, like Professor Jordan just mentioned. We're always looking at the newest research. So I would say our spin is that we try to be as evidence-based as we can. We're continually in the literature to see what's new and what the new guidelines are. We work hard. We try to create a program that's rigorous because we think that's what's needed to elevate practice, critical thinking, and evidence-based. I mean, I think we believe if you're a good critical thinker, you can ask the right questions. And then for the research side, we teach you how to find the answers to those questions. And so if you can do those two things, I mean, you can memorize all the textbooks, but the thing is, with nutrition in 10 years, a lot of that information could be outdated. And so a better skill set to have is to be good thinkers and know how to ask the right questions and know where to find evidence-based information. And so that's what we spend a lot of time trying to extract from students.
And one thing I'll add to that too is our emphasis is in nutrition diagnostics. And so the approach we use is different than the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. And I don't know, I hesitate to say that because sometimes it scares people, but it's different. And so the model that we use is really in depth, and it evaluates a little bit more than what you probably have learned in undergrad, and it digs deeper, and it incorporates a lot of critical thinking where you have to analyze, why am I thinking this? What's my thought process behind this? So again, it's all about asking those questions to figure out, like, how do we solve this problem? Like, how do I identify it? And then how do we solve it? And evaluating the thinking process that goes along with that. And so that's, again, what we incorporate. We dedicate a lot of our coursework to that process and understanding your thinking behind all of that. So.
Yeah, nicely put. I think I would just, add a big part of it is just nutrition is not black and white. And I think more of what Jordan and Kyle are explaining, it really starts to make more sense what they're explaining as you get into the program. But we really look at all components of nutrition and look deeper at most up-to-date literature, of course. So defining nutrition diagnostics. Yes, great question. So it's an evidence-based way of ruling in and ruling out nutritional health-related problems that are unique to dietitians to identify and process, and really using that like your critical thinking skills to be thinking about the most precise or concise way to make these nutritional diagnoses, so to speak. So I always like to give the example of like ecchymosis. Sure, some people could say that ecchymosis is a vitamin K nutrient lesion, but people can have bruising for other reasons. So we would go through the nutrition care process system and rule in or rule out if that's a nutrient-based lesion or not by looking at their diet or their history or things like that, biochemical markers. Yes, and Dr. Brashear has that copied in there as well. So
Shannon beat me to the punch, and then I copied too much. So yeah,
everyone's like, this is what it is.
So it's similar to what you all probably have experienced in your undergrad as far as the A&D nutrition care process, right? You're evaluating the patient to come up with your nutrition problem, and then you set some goals and interventions based on that problem. That's nutrition diagnostics or nutrition diagnosing, but our emphasis is just a little bit deeper, and the process is just a little bit different in our program, but a similar concept.
Mm-hmm. Really just like elevating that. How can we be the most precise? How can we make the best interventions, get concrete recommendations for our patients or our clients? So yeah, it's really a great program in the skills, whether if you get into clinical or not. Of course, we would love for you to be into clinical since we are that clinical emphasis, but these skills are utilized everywhere. I came from the program and I used it a lot, even in retail dietetics with counseling. So is interdisciplinary cooperation a component of simulation training or other parts of the program?
I can jump in for that one. Yeah. And we're working on the simulation side. We've talked about that a lot, and we really think there's a lot more that we can do in that element. In your clinical experiences, you're going to have interdisciplinary care throughout that, and we really encourage that and try to make that a possibility. In the coursework, we do some assignments where you will get with you'll get with students from other disciplines. Like we have an occupational therapy program. We work with a counseling program from a different university, and you work on a case study together. which is really kind of cool. Nurse practitioners as well. And you do your nutrition assessment, but then you get together and develop like a comprehensive plan for the patient. And that's really nice because you start to see outside of nutrition. You start to see the perspective of these other health professionals, and we're all trying to accomplish the same thing, which is, improve the quality of life of these individuals that we take care of. And we all do it in our, unique way. And so we learn a lot from them, but they also learn a lot from us. And so, yeah, we do that event in the second year as part of one of your courses. Yeah, and research right now, because it's a 1 semester, it's a 4-hour course, 1 semester. We don't have the opportunity to do like prospective research. We're working on getting data sets where you can look at some of those data sets. But in the past, what our students do is they do like an evidence review project where they develop a research question and develop a search strategy. How are they going to find the research that's available? And then they find their articles, they analyze them, and then they create a poster presentation and they present that just before they graduate. So that's kind of the culminating piece of the program. And so it's really designed for dietitians because it allows you to be very skilled at finding research and then being able to analyze that research. And there are some there's some general scholarships available through the college. Unfortunately, we don't have a nutrition department. We don't have a specific nutrition department scholarship available at this time.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? You guys have really great questions, and we appreciate you guys tuning in today. And if you have further questions, we are going to have you meet our current students before we hop off so that you can have some privacy whenever you're asking them questions. But if you have further questions, feel free to reach out to us on, of course, social media platforms like our Facebook, or our Instagram, which is Cox College Nutrition Diagnostics, or my email address is, I'll put it in the chat box here, or you could go to the website too, and our information is there as well. Our website's just coxcollege.edu. But feel free to reach out if you want to set up something one-on-one. If other questions come up later, we're happy to chat with you. Yep, and Dr. Brashear put his email there as well. I'm going to go ahead and stop our recording.